Hello, if you're tuning in, we're just getting set up for tonight's performance of M2. The performance begins at 8:05 p.m. tonight, Eastern Standard, 5:05 Pacific, right here on Facebook Live and on Zoom. If you want to join us on Zoom, you can go to johnfisher.biz and sign in for free. That's johnfisher.biz. But this is all a technical setup, checking out sound and lights and things like that in video. Thanks for joining us. So we're going to begin with Zoom, with our test on Zoom. And we're going to begin with echo. Are there strange echo sounds? Is there any strange echo sounds right now? And now we're going to go over to sync. So we're testing sync. Great. And now we're going over to Zoom. Is our Zoom feature working? Let's see. Okay, and now we're going to try our loss of screen. Okay, we should have lost the screen, but then we should have gotten it back. Excellent. And now we're going to try distance of sound. And if I move away, what is the sound quality? Do I still get the sound quality? Do I still get the sound quality? Okay, so that was distance of sound. Great. Good. So that was our test on Zoom, and I'll be right back with you. Stay on Facebook always. Test, test, test. This is testing one, testing one, testing one, testing one, testing one, testing one. This is testing two, testing two, testing two, testing two, testing two. This is testing three, test, 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 test three, test three, test three. This is test one, test one. This is test one. This is test one, test one. I'm testing number one. Number one is test. This is test two. This is test number two. I'm testing number two, talking number two, talking number two, talking number two, test two. This is test three, testing three, testing three. I'm testing three. This is test three. This is a test, 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 test. This is a test. This is a test. This is test number one, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is test number two. This is test number two. This is test number two. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is test number three. This is test number 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a test. This is a test. Test 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is test 1. This is a test. This is a new test. This is test 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is test 2. This is test 3. Test 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is test 3. This is a test. This is a test. Test 1, 2, 3, 4. Test 1, 2, 3, 4. This is test 1. This is test 1. This is test number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is test number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a test. This is a test. This is a test. This is test number 2. This is test number 3. This is test number 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is test number 3. Test number 3. Test number 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Test number 3. something with the connections. So you're not hearing any appreciable difference. Last time. Well, we're all set to go, and we're going to start at we're all set to go. We're going to start at 8:05 Eastern, 5:05 Pacific. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be back shortly. Yay! Hello there. We're just going to try a quick test on Zoom for sound, just a last test. And then we're going to do the sync with the hands. And that's our test. Thank you very much for joining us for that. And we will begin shortly. Hello, I'm John Fisher, and this is M2. Welcome. So the summer of 2021 was kind of a renaissance in many ways. It's a renaissance for an amazing writer named Tarana Burke. Tarana Burke wrote a book, and it was published that year. It's called Unbound, the story of my liberation and the birth of the Me Too movement. And it's kind of an amazing book. And Tarana Burke actually started the Me Too organization back in 2006, but it didn't really get rolling as an organization or as a tag until 2017 with the Weinstein trials, right? And then it took off. And by then, Tarana Burke had started a whole other organization with a similar focus. But the focus of Me Too really was empathy through empowerment through empathy. And she wanted to create a movement whereby women could express themselves and come together and not just feel empathy, but find a way of bringing justice, bringing consequence to the acts of sexual predators. It's sort of amazing. And nobody really knew where Me Too came from until 2017. And suddenly it was Tarana Burke. Everybody was reading Tarana Burke in this incredible book. And so in a way for her it was a renaissance, it was a rebirth, a rediscovery of her and of her now power internationally. Now there was this movement that could call men to account for these acts of sexual violence. And it was also, I think, a renaissance for the world too, right? Because of course, at that point we had, right? We had the vaccination. People could get vaccinated, right? And it meant that we could leave our homes, a renaissance. And of course, we had been leaving our homes. We would go out, my husband and I, Michael, on our bikes, right? Because we could go out, we could ride around the city, and we could just be with each other, right? We didn't have to be around other people. We kept moving. We weren't in proximity to anybody but each other. And we loved our bike rides. They were incredible all the way through COVID. In the worst times, we had some wonderful bike rides, sort of amazing, right? And we would ride everywhere. And we had this project that we were going to ride to the top of every single hill in San Francisco, right? Now, it depends on what source you read. Some say there's 48 hills, some say there's 96. So we just rode to the top of every bump, every cliff, every mountain, every hill, every curve, every street. We just rode and rode and rode. And I love swimming. I just love to swim. I love to go to the YMCA and swim. I just adore it, right? And so I wanted to get back into the swimming mode. I wanted to find myself swimming again, right? But I couldn't swim at the Y, and all the other gyms were closed, right? All through COVID. So I started swimming in the bay, in aquatic park, right? I would go down to aquatic park. I'd never swum in the bay before, and I would dive into that water. Now that water is cold. I swim in 82 degrees, okay? That sounds warm, but it's not. That's actually cold water. It's like tough to get into, right? The water in the bay is between 60 and 49, 48 degrees, depending on the month. It is incredible. And you dive into 49-degree water, it's like you get an instant ice cream headache, right? It's like this massive headache, and you're in this cold water, and it lasts for like, it goes on and on and on. You want to have the experience of swimming in the bay? Okay, do this. Eat a whole bunch of ice cream really quick, really fast, and then go and have a really cold shower. That is the nightmare of swimming in the bay. And that leaves out all the animals. The bay is full of like seals, which bite people. They're biting people again. They're striking back. And there are sea lions in the bay. Sea lions are as big as trucks. They're like upper middle class houses. They are incredible, and they bark, and it's thunderous. And you don't know what else is in there. The sharks. There are dolphins that look like sharks. You can't see anything under the water. It is like a horrifying experience, but I was determined to get my exercise. So when the Renaissance came and we all got vaccinated, there we were, able to exercise again. I could go on my bike. We could bike anywhere still. That was great. But also I could go to the gym. I could ride down to the YMCA. I could get into my swimsuit and I could dive in that wonderful water. I will never complain about 81, 82 degrees again. That is warm water. That's like bath water to me now. And I could swim my laps. I would relax and open up and figure things out. I could get out of the water and run on the treadmill. You see, I can't run on the street, all that hard concrete. Concrete is hard. It is so hard, concrete. But the treadmill is soft. It's unreal, right? I could do my weights. Oh, it was like heaven. It was heaven to be outside. And also the Renaissance meant going back on stage. You see, all through COVID, through the entirety of COVID, I've been doing all my performing on Zoom, right? I was on Zoom, I was on Facebook Live. I did a lot and it was great fun, but it wasn't like having an audience. And now I could go back into a space and perform for a live audience. And I could have collaborators. I could work with them, right? I could work with people putting on a show for audiences, right? It was so exciting to be back doing live theater. And I began a series of live shows, right? With an audience sitting there, but also we were like doing the COVID Zoom thing, so it was like a hybrid production, and I had my collaborators working with me, showing the audience in, a house manager, helping with the lights, taking care of things. It was so exciting. I loved it. And the news show that we're working on that week in August, when Tarana Burke's book came out, was about John Muir, the incredible environmentalist John Muir. What a guy, right? He started the Sierra Club. He basically saved Yosemite from destruction. It went turned into a big dam. Can you imagine Yosemite as a dam? He saved it. He's so great. So I was doing this piece about John Muir. I was so excited. And that's what we were working on that week. And in 2 days, we'd go in front of that live audience with all my collaborators working with me. And I just want to point something out. You notice that I'm back in my kitchen, which is where I performed during COVID. That's where I put on all my Zoom shows, yeah. So we're not out of the woods yet. I've been doing a lot of live shows, but this week I'm back in the Omicron cell, different city, but here I am working in my kitchen again. Anyway, art isn't stopped, theater isn't stopped, nothing stops it, nothing stops it, nothing stops it. So it goes on, right? I was so excited that week, and I was headed out on my bike to start getting things done. Now, I do a lot of work on my bike. I just put on my headset, I ride around, I run errands, I visit people, I have meetings, I talk on the phone. And I was just about to get onto my bike that day, right? I was all like set to go. Here we go, here we go, here we go. And all of a sudden the phone rang. Well, I took off my headphones and I took the call, and it was Rim, one of my board members for the theater company where I work. It's like, hey Rim, how's it going? Not so good, John. It's not going so good. Oh, is everything all right? Are you all right? Yeah, I'm all right. But I just got a call from Diana, and she says that one of the people you're working with on the new show, a collaborator, she says that he is a known sexual predator. Yeah. Oh. Wow. I didn't know that. Yeah. She said he's a known sexual predator, and she knows people have worked with him, and she wants you to take appropriate action. Okay. Wow. That's okay. Yes, of course. We can't have that. That's incredible. I had no idea. And he told me the person. I said, wow, I'm sorry. This is a surprise to me. Okay. Yes. So she wants you to take appropriate action. Okay. Well, I think I should call her and talk to her about this. I mean, I just let me call her and talk to her, and then I'll call you and tell you what we're going to do. I mean, if this is true, yes, yes, he needs to be fired. He needs to be let go. Yes, obviously. But let me talk to Diana first, okay? Yeah, she wants you to take appropriate action. Okay, I'm going to call her, and then I'll be in touch after I talk to her, okay? Thanks, Rim. I appreciate it. Wow. Wow. Okay. A little backstory. Rim is one of the board members that actually hired me years ago to work at the theater company. So he and I know each other. We trust each other. And Diana, she's incredible. She's this great actress. She does everything in our theater. She sings, she dances, she does comedy, she does tragedy, she does readings. She's great. And we've been through so many productions together. And it is so much fun putting on shows with her. And there's also a lot of, drama. It's art, it's heartache, you get tired, and we've been through it all together. And there's just this level of trust and kindness. And I've always felt like, I could talk to her. So I was determined to talk to her directly about this because, I thought that was important. I have to, if I have to fire someone, I want, I have to do my due diligence. I have to find out what's really going on. So I thought I'd talk to her directly. So before I got on my bike, I gave her a call. Hey, Diana, I'm sorry I missed you. It's John. I just talked to Rim, and he told me what you guys have discussed, and of course that's horrible. And we're going to take action, immediately. But I wanted to talk to you first, just to get some clarity on things in case, there's legalities involved here. And I just, I just wanted to talk to you and hear what is the what. Okay. So thank you so much. I'm sorry to drag this out at all. If you could just call me back as soon as you get the message, that'd be great. Thanks, Diana. I hope you're doing well. I also texted her because I wanted to make sure she got the text, got the message. And I sent her an email. And then I got on my bike and started my work day and tried to wait till I heard from her before I, thought much more about this. It was tripping me out, kind of. Hi, it's me. Hope you're doing well. I was just checking up on that grant proposal. If you need anything else, please tell me. I know you're under a deadline, so just let me know and I'll get it over to you. Appreciate it. Okay, be well. Bye. I got to the gym. I got off my bike. I was really just sort of thrown by all this, and I went to the gym. I got into my swimsuit and I dove into the pool and I did my laps. Oh, I tell you, when I get in the pool, it doesn't solve my problems. It does not solve my problems, but it clears my head. It gets my head ready to solve problems. And so I was doing my laps, and I got out of the pool. I felt refreshed. I felt ready. And I looked at my phone to see if Diana had called me, and she hadn't. Okay. she must be busy. So I called Rim back just to give him an update. Hey, Rim, it's John. I just wanted to let you know that I reached out to Diana and I have not heard back from her yet. Yeah, I don't need updates. I don't need any updates. Okay, well, I just, you reached out to me, so I thought, I should keep you in the loop. Yeah, so I'm just calling to say I've reached out, and as soon as I hear from her, I'll tell you what's up and we'll take action, okay? Yeah, I don't need updates. I don't need any updates, okay? Okay, okay, thanks. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Rim. Bye. And then I look at my phone and there's a text, and it's from this woman that I love. She tunes into all my shows, all my COVID-19 shows, my Zoom shows. And she sees that I'm doing a piece on John Muir. And she said, I'm excited to see you're doing a piece on John Muir. I hope you talk about his racism. What? I had no idea. I never heard this. His racism. So I quickly do a search. I put in John Muir racist, and there are two articles. One of them is from the Washington Post. The other is from the New York Times, talking about he was a racist. He said derogatory things about African Americans. He said derogatory things about indigenous persons. I'm shocked. And he consorted with anti-Semites. Well, I can just imagine what he thought of me, big old gay guy, me. It's incredible. Well, yeah, I will have to talk about John Muir's racism. Wow. So I text back, yes, of course, thanks for queuing me in. Now it's interesting because the two articles were from the New York Times and the Washington Post, huge periodicals, but there wasn't much else on the internet. And when I've been doing my research, I not come across this. I mean, I did use a lot of older biographies and textbooks, but I also went online and there was no mention of this and very little mention of it when I got specific. In other words, and these two articles are very interesting because they both read like they're written by the same person. In other words, the Sierra Club must have sent out a press release, sort of an open acknowledgement of his racism, his quotes, his racist quotes, and both New York Times and the Washington Post just sort of cut and pasted, which seems sort of kind of lame, right? I mean, there was no sort of analysis, and people haven't really picked this up yet. It's very odd. So anyway, it was time now to get back on my bike and head to meet Ben. I was meeting Ben. Ben's great. He's a supporter of the theater. He's a contributor to the theater. And I was riding to see him for the first time in 15 months, just to catch up and be in the same space together. We talked on Zoom, but not in 15 months have we been together. And I kept doing my errands. Hi, I just want to make sure you're able to drop off the paint. If you can't get into the space, call me and I'll help you. Maybe you've got an old code and I can even come over and let you in. Just let me know. Just call me, text me, email. I'll get it. Okay, thanks. So I got to a Starbucks where I agreed to meet Ben. And here's the thing about Ben. Ben is a contributor to the theater. Like I said, he's so supportive. I mean, he's enthusiastic. He comes and sees everything. He really makes it happen for us, but we never talk about business, never. What we talk about is things we love: theater, plays, musicals, movies, museum exhibitions, ballet, opera. We just love to get together and gush about culture. He's great that way. We never talk about business. So I walked in and there he was, Ben, and I gave him a big hug. Great guy, like a fashion plate. I'm always like, you look great. You look wonderful. I love what you're wearing. And so we go and we sit down and I can tell that we're sort of gearing up to talk about all the culture we've been experiencing since the big lifting, since the Renaissance. And I don't say a word about that. I just say to him, this awful thing is happening. A collaborator of mine who I've worked with before has been accused by somebody of being a sexual predator, sexually aggressive behavior. And this is like completely out of left field. I'm trying to figure out what to do about it. I mean, I'm completely like taken aback. And I mean, you know what? I know what to do about it because this has happened in the theater before. But you see what the thing is that somebody came to me and said, this happened to me. This person did this thing to me. And I immediately said, you're fired. I tell that person you are fired. But in this case, I only have third-hand knowledge. Somebody is telling me that somebody else said something. And I'm like, So I'm kind of waiting to find out, what is the what? And I don't know. Has this ever happened to you? Um, yeah, it actually has. Yeah, yeah. I was working on a great play, and had a great cast, and I'd invested in it. I'd actually invested in it, and there was a lot going on in the play, and we knew it was going to be, a big hit. We were sure of it. And one of the leads was actually accused of being a sexual predator. He'd actually, apparently, according to an accuser, he had raped her. And we went to him. He said, "Is this true?" And he adamantly denied it. He said, "No, it is completely not true. That never happened." And we kept asking him. He stuck with that story, and we decided, okay, let's go ahead. And so we opened the play with him in the lead. And the minute like the publicity started and the reviews got out and the show was open, all of these other women came forward. And they said they had had the same experience. They didn't know each other. They just heard this one woman had said it, and they all came forward, and it was like the same story over and over again. And people boycotted the play. They could not believe that we had endorsed this guy. And it was awful. I felt like I'd done the wrong thing every step of the way. In other words, if what he said was true, we should have looked into it, if only to defend him. But we didn't do anything. We did nothing. We just trusted him. And he was completely untrustworthy. And the play was a flop. And worse than that, I felt like we had sort of facilitated somebody. We'd gone on working for weeks with this guy. God knows what kind of danger we exposed people to. It was awful. It was terrible. So I don't know. You gotta figure it out. You gotta take action. I mean, I know you don't want advice. You didn't ask for it, but yeah, that's what happened. Wow. Okay. Oh. So I left Ben, and I got back on my bike, and I started running my errands again. And I looked at my phone, nothing from Diana. So I started riding my bike again and running my errands. Now, Tarana Burke, in her book, Unbound, talks about how the Me Too movement really started for her. It started when she was 7 years old. And she lives in the Highbridge section of the Bronx. And it was a bright sunny day. And she was out playing in the playground at this housing complex she lives in with her friends. And her mother had always told her, don't talk to weird men. If any man comes up to you that you don't know, don't talk to him. And those boys over there play basketball, don't talk to them. Don't talk to any of those boys. You've got no business with them. Don't talk to them. So she was playing with her friends, minding their own business, in a housing complex where they knew many people. And suddenly one of the boys from the basketball court came right over into the playground. He walked right up to her and he grabbed her by the wrist. And he dragged her off the playground. And she was stumbling behind him, and he was gripping her tight. She keeps saying that, gripping, gripping. And of course she tried to pull back, but she was 7, he was 18. And he just kept walking, pulling her behind him. And she was crying, she was terrified, but she didn't know what to do. She didn't know she could cry out. She was too afraid. She was in shock, and he dragged her by her hand, her stumbling behind him, across the housing complex and into one of the buildings. He took her up the stairs. He started opening doors. She said he was obviously looking for a place where nobody would see them. Well, it was impossible. There were too many people around. So he led her down the stairs. And by now, it was getting dark. She was supposed to be home. Her mother would be wondering where she was. He took her out onto the street. And he led her across the street to an abandoned building. Now, her mother had told her, don't ever go in that building. You have no business in there. Do not go into that building. He took her into that building. And inside, it was pitch dark. He led her into the building. He took her up the stairs. He opened a door. Nobody inside. He took her inside the room, closed the door, pushed her down the floor, undressed her, undressed himself, and then he molested her. He raped her. He also humiliated her intentionally, specifically. Now, I'm not going to go into details in the book. I don't, it's not relative. It's sensationalistic. No, but that's what happened. Then, when he was done, he got dressed, she got dressed. He took her by the hand and he led her out of the building. And he led her back out into the street and he walked her home. Now, he was talking to her this whole time, and Tarana doesn't remember what he said. She has no clear memory of what he said. She doesn't think he said nasty things. He didn't say mean things, but she thinks he was saying things like, if you tell anybody, they're just going to think you're a bad person. Yeah, they'll just think you're bad. They won't think anything about me. They'll just think you are a bad, filthy person. So you better not tell them. It'll just be bad for you. He let her go. She ran upstairs to her parents' apartment. They were inside. She was crying. They said, "What's wrong?" And she decided at that moment not to say anything because she was afraid that they would think she was bad. This happened again when she was 9. A boy intimidated her and another girl into his apartment. He got her upstairs in the apartment. He was older than them, another teenage boy, got them into his apartment. He forced them to get undressed and to do things to each other. They didn't like it, but they were scared of him. He took Polaroid pictures of them while they did it. And when they were done, he held up the pictures. He said, "If you tell anybody, I'm going to show them this picture, and they're going to know you guys are bad. And if you don't do what you just did to me, I'll also show them the picture." So they touched him. He took more pictures. When they were done, he said, "If you tell anybody, I'm going to show them pictures. I'll give you all these pictures except one. Don't tell anybody." And something else. "If you don't come back, I'll show everybody these pictures." And they kept going back because they were afraid that he would show that picture. And they kept getting pictures, but they didn't get the one. He always hung on to one to get them to come back. This went on for 3 years. She didn't understand what was happening. She didn't tell anybody. She thought she was a bad person. She hated it. Finally, one day, she started screaming at him at the top of her lungs. She pushed him off of her and she grabbed the camera, all the pictures, and ran. She didn't tell anybody because she felt dirty, like she'd done something wrong. I was riding my bike, still taking care of business, waiting for the call. "Hi, I was just checking on the postcard. So when you have something, please send it to me. And I think you've got everything, but if you need anything, ask me and I'll send it over, okay? Thank you, bye." And then a call came in. I looked at my phone. It was Diana. I pulled over. I got off the bike and I took the call. "Hey, Diana, thank you so much for calling me. I really appreciate it. How you doing? Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm sorry. I wanted to call you all day and I couldn't. I'm back at work, so it's just really busy." "Hey, that's great. I know that they had you doing something else, but now great. I'm glad to hear that. That's good. Congratulations," right? "Yeah, it's good. It's good. I'm glad. It's just super busy. And I kind of decided during COVID that I wanted to be doing something else. So I'm trying to figure out, how to move on into something else. But it's good. I'm glad to be back at work." "How's Bobby? Is he there?" "Yeah, he's here. He's looking for work, but he's good. We're just like unwinding. It's been a long day." So, well, thank you for calling me. I don't mean to add to the day or make it any longer. I talked to Rim, and he told me what you had told him, and I just wanted to check in with you. And I was surprised. I didn't know this about this person, and I just wanted to know if you could, tell me more about it. So I hate to say it, so I have some more specifics in case I get into a thing and it's like due diligence. What? Yes, I understand. Okay, well, he was working with another theater company, and he went and saw a member of the theater company at her apartment. He forced his way in, and he grabbed her. Yeah, he grabbed her in. It was bad. It was very bad, and she managed to, restrain him and stop him, but it was not the only incident. So eventually she went to a couple of us and told us what happened. And, he kind of had a reputation for doing some things like this. So we posted things on Facebook, on his Facebook page. And we also went to the head of the theater company and we told him what was happening. And he went to this guy and he said, you can't work here anymore, and I'm going to tell other theater companies what you've done. And he said his response was he was going to take down his Facebook page and he was going to move, that he was not going to be working with any other theater companies locally around here, and he was leaving. And so when my friend saw, my friend is the victim, when she saw that he was back in town and working with you, she was like, what? So she reached out to me, and that's when I called Bryn. Okay, I'm sorry. That's incredible. Okay, I just, wow. Okay, yeah. And I want you to know something. My friend said that she's happy to talk to you. She doesn't want to because she'll feel very uncomfortable, but she's happy to talk to you. She's also told me that I can share the texts that she sent to me about what happened. I can share them with you. But of course, you can't say that you got them from me. You can't mention her name. You can't go into specifics, right? But she said, if that will help the situation, your understanding of it, she authorized me to share them with you. Wow. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I hope you thank her on my behalf. Listen, the reason I reached out to Brim is I just want to protect, the theater. I want your wonderful theater. I want to protect it. I assume that you've been told. I guess you haven't. And I want to protect it. I want it to be a safe place for members of our community, a creative community, to work. That's the only reason I reached out to you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I agree with you. And I hope you believe that I didn't know anything about this. And let me just ask you this. When you were working with our theater company, did he do anything? Did anything happen while you were with our theater company? Or did you hear about anything? Did you see anything? No, not with you guys. I didn't. I did not. I don't know why. I mean, the other theater company is pretty loose. We're pretty crazy, and you're kind of strict. So I don't know. Maybe he just didn't. I don't know. Maybe just. I don't know. I don't know what. But no, it didn't. I will say this. He could. I didn't feel comfortable around him. I never felt comfortable around him. And I'll tell you, I won't say that it was sexual. I just never felt comfortable around him. Yeah. But nothing specific happened, and I didn't hear of anything happening with your theater company. Okay, well, I take to heart what you said, and we will take action. We will take action. This is kind of my first day with all this. Can I call you back later if I want to? If I just want to sort of check in, if I have any other questions? Of course you can. Yes, of course. We're here all night. Please feel free. Yes, as I said, if you want to see something, yes, as long as we maintain confidentiality, yes. Thank you. Okay, great. Hey, listen, we have to get you back on stage. This is not to put a gloss on everything, but when are we going to get you back up on stage and entertaining people, huh? Live in person. Oh, that's so sweet. I've loved all these Zoom things I've done with you, but yeah, I need to get up on stage and bounce around. Okay, great. So that's a promise. You need to be on stage. Okay, soon. Yes. Thank you. That's lovely. Thank you, John. Dan, I love you. I so appreciate you reaching out and being frank with me. I knew if I got a chance to talk to you, it would make sense. Thank you. I love you too, John. Okay. Take care. Good night. Say hi to Bobby. Yes, I will. Good night. Wow. So I rode home and I told my husband, Michael, and he said, wow, damn, what are you going to do? He's got to go. I mean, this happened years ago. It did. And I just said, that's it. You got to go. You can't be here. You're fired. But I tell you something, this is what's weird. In that instance, I had somebody come directly to me and say, this happened. And somebody else came and said, it is happening. I have seen it. So I had like first person. Here's the thing. I still feel weird about this thing. I feel like, I don't feel like I've got first person. I've got a third person, a second person. And I think what I'm going to do is call Diana back and ask her to please share the text. I don't want to talk to the victim because, now I'm calling people victims. The whole thing is so yucky. I don't want to put somebody in that position of having to talk to a stranger. I don't know this person about this thing, but she offered to share the texts. So I think that's okay. Tarana Berg talks about consequences. She talks about these acts happen and there are no consequences. The perpetrators do not have to own them at all. And she gives this example. She went to a barbecue in her old neighborhood in Highbridge in the Bronx. It was a Father's Day barbecue, and she went with her mom, and they were so happy to be there. She hadn't been back in the neighborhood for 30 years. She was thrilled to be back in the neighborhood. She's at this barbecue, and she looks over at the big barbecue pit, and there is her assailant. 30 years later, he's standing there. She can't believe it. And she has subsequently told her mother about this much, much later, but she did eventually. And she says to her mother, she says, what? That's him. What is he? He still lives here? And her mother says, yeah, he's married. He has 2 daughters, and he is now a New York City police officer. And she was in shock because there were no consequences. None. He had never had to face up to this. He never had to own it. And an interviewer in the New York Times says to Tarana Burke, are you going to confront him? Are you going to, are you going to make him face up to this? And she said, no. I talk to people about how this is about our survival. That is what's most important. I'm not ready to do that yet. I might one day, and maybe he'll read this interview and know it about himself, but I'm not there yet. Consequences. These actions have to have consequences. So I called Diana back, and she answered, hi, Diana, it's John. Thank you so much for talking to me earlier. I feel like I have to talk to this person. I have to fire them. And it might come up, what is the evidence? Why are you doing this? And I want to be ready. I don't want to quote specific things. I don't want to say anything specific, but I just want to say, I've heard enough. Okay? I've heard this number of things and it's enough. I'm not going to detail them, but they have convinced me. You have got to go. You're fired. But I just feel like I need to do my due diligence because this is, this is an HR matter, right? And so I would like to take you up on your offer of looking at the texts. I will maintain confidentiality. I'll not say that you gave them to me. I will not mention the name of it. I won't go into specifics. But if you could send them to me. Hello? That's weird. That's weird. We got cut off. Oh, hi, Diana, it's John. We got cut off. Nah, it's not Diana, it's Bobby. It's Bobby. Listen, you don't need to do this. Come on, man. Yeah, you don't need to do this. Come on. Come on. This isn't right. Jeez, what are you doing? Come on. Oh, Bobby. Hi. Can I talk to Diana? I was talking to Diana. Yeah. You know what? This isn't right. This isn't the way it's done. Somebody tells you something and you do something. Come on. This isn't, what are you doing? This isn't right. This isn't how it's done. You know that. It's not done this way. Bobby, I'm sorry. I reached out to Diana because she offered to let me see something. That's why I reached out. Yeah. You know what? This is a problem, and you know it. You know better. Come on, man. This isn't what? Just hi. Hi, John, it's Diana. I'm here. Would you just, yeah, no, it's fine. But just, yeah, we will handle this. Thank you. I'm sorry about that. I was just looking for the texts. I found them. I'm going to send them over to you so that you have them. And as long as you maintain confidentiality and don't get into specifics, it's more than okay that you got them. Yeah. And it's all fine. It's all fine. And Diana, is this really okay? I mean, I didn't, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Bobby is upset. Bobby is passionate. He's just passionate. He just cares so much. And he just, but that's not, I apologize. And it's not, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's all fine. I'm going to send you the texts and it's fine. Dad, look, thank you. I will get back to you as soon as I've taken action just to keep you abreast of things. I really, really appreciate this. And I just need to know that it's okay. It really is okay. Because if it's not, it's fine. We don't need to do it. It's fine. It's fine. I want this to happen. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're coming. They're coming to you. I love you, John. Thank you. Yeah, you too, Diana. I love you. So I told my husband what had happened. And the text came and I read the texts and they were appalling. It was like I couldn't believe it. And I thought, yes, this needs to be taken care of immediately. And I was embarrassed that I need this much. But again, I felt like I'm not going to share these with anybody, but I need to know just for HR purposes, due diligence, right? In case there was like a lawsuit or something that I had collected evidence. And I said to my husband, I said, today has been so weird, so upsetting. First of all, it started out with Rim calling me, not Diana, Rim, and telling me that she had said this, I need to take action. I was like, why didn't she call me herself? And then I spent the whole day trying to get a hold of her, and she doesn't get back to me until the end of the day. And then we have a good conversation. When I call her back to take her up on an offer of hers, she hung up the phone on me. I was like, what? And then when I call back, Bobby yells at me. I'm like, what? Why? Why all of this? Well, you probably don't think you're going to do anything. Why would I do anything? A lot of people don't. You probably think that you're just going to do nothing, like this other theater company. Maybe they went through this with the other theater company. They told this guy all this stuff and he didn't do anything. A lot of people are believed. They tell people about rape and nobody believes them, or they believe them, but they don't take action, or they believe them and they take action, but the action's like a slap in the wrist. It's nothing. They probably didn't think you were going to do anything. So they're probably frustrated. But why would I do anything? They all know me. I mean, I've been through this before. They don't know that. They don't know what you've done before or what you haven't done before. They probably went into it thinking, there's a good chance we'll tell this guy and he will do nothing. And then it'll just be embarrassing and awful. And he'll act like, but why would they think that? They've never seen me. What? Well, okay. How do they see you? When do they see you? How are you around them? Well, I'm the director, right? I try to be fun. I try to be creative. I try to create a creative atmosphere, right? I try to move things forward. I try to be positive. I try not to focus on negatives. So they thought I was just going to not want to focus on the negatives. Like maybe believe them, but be like, oh, it'll blow. Yeah, I see. Yeah. Makes sense. I feel terrible. Well, you didn't know this was going to happen this way. You couldn't predict it. Yeah. Tarana Burke talks about this. She talks about the helplessness of going to people and feeling like people are going to think badly of you if you say this thing happened to you. And then you finally tell people, and a lot of times they don't believe you. Or they believe you, but they don't take action, or they believe you and take action, but it's nothing. It's not appropriate action. And that just leads to helplessness and despair. That's in her book also. Well, I took action. Next day, I fired him. And he didn't work on the project anymore. He wasn't at the rehearsal that night, and he was off the project from then on. And I asked somebody else to take his job on the project, and she was available. It was amazing. It was like a miracle. Suddenly she was available. She came in. She was right there. She did a great job. And I performed my piece about John Muir, the tarnished hero. And, maybe it's our concept of heroes that is so flawed, right? Maybe we elevate people too easily. We don't inquire enough, right? Tarana Burke talks about this in her book. She got out of college, and one of her first jobs was working with one of the lieutenants, one of the right-hand men to Dr. Martin Luther King. His name was Bevel, the Reverend Bevel, and he was in Selma. And she went down to Selma and got a job working with him. And this is great. I mean, this guy had been with Martin Luther King at the marches. He'd been around at the time of the assassination. I mean, he was really a lieutenant. He was a hero of the civil rights movement. And she got down there and she was working with him, and she quickly found out that he was a child molester. And everybody in the movement, in the community, knew. But because he was a civil rights hero, he was given a pass. And she couldn't stay. So she helped some children get out of situations that were compromising, where he would get to them, and she left. She went to Philadelphia and worked for nonprofits. She had to get away, and eventually he was tried and found guilty of incest with his daughters, and there were consequences. Well, after the firing, I sent a text to Rim telling him what had happened, because I knew he didn't want an update, but I kind of figured he did. He just didn't want to talk. And then I called Diana and I said, Diana, I just want you to know that he was fired. And that I really appreciate you reaching out to me and being so frank. And I apologize for not being more accessible, and for you feeling like maybe it wouldn't work out or whatever. Now I'm like projecting or something, but I just felt bad about the way it happened, and maybe there's a better way that I could have handled it. But thank you. I got your message, John. Thank you. I appreciate it. And it's fine. It's all fine. I love you, and I'm glad we were able to work this out. Also, part of the Me Too movement is believe women, right? The Kavanaugh hearings, so many things. Believe women, and I often think that maybe my emphasis on legality, on due diligence, was facilitating delay. I don't know, or maybe it's just the way I went about it, trying to hurry it along, solve the problem. Maybe it was the way I talked or my phrasing. Tarana Burke's book is amazing, and it's an illustration of not just empowerment, but as she says, empowerment through empathy, that we really are all in this together. And that's really the only way that we're going to solve it. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm John Fisher, and this has been M2. I'll be back next week online again, and my piece will be about the South. It'll actually be about Georgia this time. I encourage you to read Unbound. It's kind of wonderfully written. I have been reading passages of it. I've also been listening to the author read the book. I think it's one of the great things. My husband and I often talk about this. My husband loves these things, these books where the author actually reads them. And there's something great about her reading this book. And it's kind of a horrifying experience, but it's also incredibly emotional and uplifting, and how she discovered herself and moved past all sorts of barriers. Thank you so much for joining me, and good night from New York City.